The atmosphere around Chicago feels different heading into this stretch of the season, especially with another chapter of the rivalry approaching. There is a mix of anticipation, tension, and cautious optimism among Bears fans, because games like this never exist in a vacuum. Every snap against Green Bay carries history, frustration, and the chance to shift narratives. Even when logic says one thing, emotion takes over, and this matchup once again feels like a measuring stick for where this team truly stands right now. A lot of the conversation naturally drifts toward what is happening beyond the Bears themselves, particularly inside the division. There is growing noise about potential coaching changes, especially with respected defensive minds possibly on the move. When coordinators consistently put together disruptive, aggressive units, the rest of the league notices. Contracts expire, interview requests pile up, and suddenly stability becomes a luxury. From a Bears perspective, the idea of elite defensive coordinators leaving rival teams is not exactly unwelcome. Facing complex, unpredictable defenses year after year wears you down, and any shakeup inside the division can subtly tilt the balance. At the same time, there is plenty of skepticism about major changes at the top in places like Green Bay or Kansas City. Coaches with recent success and organizational trust rarely disappear overnight, even when contracts approach their final chapters. It would take something dramatic for that kind of shift to happen. And while rivalry games always carry emotional weight, a single result usually does not erase years of goodwill. Still, division games have a way of accelerating conversations that might otherwise stay quiet for another year. When it comes to the on-field chess match, the Bears' defense remains a central focus. Takeaways feel like the lifeblood of this team right now. When the defense creates short fields, everything becomes easier. When it does not, the margin for error shrinks fast. Identifying who can consistently flip possession has become a weekly debate. Veteran safeties with strong instinct have stood out as reliable ball hawks, repeatedly putting themselves in the right place at the right time. Linebackers showed flashes earlier in the season as well, especially before injuries disrupted momentum, and that drop-off has been noticeable. Against a quarterback like Jordan Love, opportunities usually present themselves. He has improved his decision-making, but there are still moments when the ball hangs in the air just long enough to invite trouble. The Bears cannot afford to waste those chances. One missed interception can swing the entire flow of a rivalry game, especially when emotions are already running hot. Discipline and awareness will matter just as much as aggression, because gambling without finishing the play only compounds mistakes. Offensively, health and snap management remain ongoing storylines. Certain playmakers are expected back on the field, but not necessarily at full workload. That means rotations will matter, timing will matter, and chemistry will be tested. Established starters will shoulder most of the responsibility, while younger receivers continue to push for expanded roles. Some of those young players have quietly earned more trust, not just for this season, but as potential building blocks for what comes next. Every meaningful snap right now doubles as an audition for the future. The broader offensive identity still feels like a work in progress. Whether the ball is being pushed downfield or the run game is emphasized, sustaining drives has become non-negotiable. Recent struggles in time of possession have left the defense exposed far too early in games, and you can see the fatigue show up before halftime. Long, methodical drives are not just about scoring points anymore. They're about survival, about giving the defense time to breathe, reset, and stay aggressive late. Looking ahead beyond this single matchup, roster construction questions loom large. Cap flexibility, potential trades, and draft priorities are all part of the background noise, even if the focus remains on the present. There's a growing sense that certain high-salary players may not align perfectly with long-term needs, especially if production does not consistently match the financial commitment. That does not automatically diminish their value now, but it does add urgency to decisions that are coming sooner rather than later. On the defensive side, the debate about where upgrades are needed most continues to intensify. Edge pressure and interior disruption are often discussed together, because dominance up front changes everything behind it. If you can collapse the pocket quickly, coverage flaws become less damaging. If you cannot, even solid corners get exposed. The Bears appear to be at a crossroads where talent evaluation will be less about position labels and more about impact. Whoever can tilt games consistently is the priority, regardless of where they line up. The secondary, in particular, has drawn mixed reactions. Some players have been dependable all season, stepping up during injury stretches and providing stability when it was desperately needed. Others have seen performance fluctuate, with confidence appearing and disappearing from week to week. Press coverage only works when it is physical and decisive. Hesitation at the line turns aggression into vulnerability, and that has shown up on film. Regaining confidence is not just a mental hurdle. It directly affects scheme effectiveness. All of this feeds back into the immediate question everyone keeps asking. How confident should Bears fans be heading into this game? The answer rarely lands at the extremes. There is belief rooted in potential and flashes of strong play, but also caution shaped by slow starts and inconsistency. If the Bears come out sharp early, establish rhythm, and avoid digging themselves into a hole, the path to a win feels real. If not, the game likely turns into a grind where every mistake is magnified and late-game execution becomes the difference. That uncertainty is part of what makes this rivalry so consuming. No matter the records or circumstances, these games demand focus, toughness, and composure. For the Bears, this is another chance to show growth, to prove that lessons from earlier weeks are being applied, and to demonstrate that this team is capable of dictating terms rather than reacting to them. The pieces are there, the opportunity is there, and how they respond in these moments will say a lot about where this season is headed next. As the conversation keeps unfolding, it becomes clear that this stretch of games is doing more than just shaping the playoff picture. It is actively redefining how this roster is viewed from top to bottom. Every snap is being evaluated through two lenses at once: what it means for winning right now and what it says about the direction of the team moving forward. That dual pressure can be heavy, but it can also be clarifying, especially for a franchise that has been searching for long-term stability. One of the most debated topics continues to be the wide receiver room and how it might look sooner rather than later. Production, consistency, and cost all intersect here in a way that forces difficult conversations. There is no denying the talent on the roster, but football is rarely about talent alone. It is about fit, rhythm with the quarterback, and the ability to show up every week regardless of coverage or game script. When younger players begin to flash reliability and growth, it naturally raises questions about allocation of resources and whether the balance could shift. Those questions extend to the quarterback position as well, even when the future appears promising. Development is never linear, and the supporting cast plays a massive role in how quickly a young quarterback can settle in. Protection, route timing, and play design all influence confidence. When things click, the offense can trade punches with anyone. When they do not, drives stall and pressure mounts. That is why the margin for error feels so thin right now, especially against teams that know how to capitalize on hesitation. Defensively, effort has not been the issue. Fatigue, however, has crept into the conversation more frequently. When an offense struggles to stay on the field, the defense is asked to do too much, too soon. Even the most aggressive units lose some of their edge when they are constantly defending short fields or quick turnarounds. That reality puts even more emphasis on situational football, on third downs, red zone stops, and turnovers that can flip momentum without requiring another long drive. The cornerback situation embodies that tension perfectly. Some players have been asked to play roles larger than initially intended, and while the results have been uneven, the overall contribution cannot be dismissed. Availability matters. Durability matters. Taking the field week after week and competing, even with flaws, has real value in this league. At the same time, front offices have to be ruthless in projecting what that performance will look like when contracts expire and markets open. Sentiment rarely wins those battles. As coaching discussions swirl around the league, it also highlights how interconnected everything is. Assistants who show creativity and adaptability draw attention, whether they're calling plays or developing talent behind the scenes. While it is unlikely that major leadership changes happen overnight, the interest alone speaks volumes about how the Bears are being perceived internally and externally. A staff that develops players and competes despite imperfections always becomes part of the broader league conversation. That external attention can be both a compliment and a complication. Continuity is valuable, but so is ambition. When coaches see opportunities to expand their roles or test themselves elsewhere, it can create ripple effects. For the Bears, managing that balance will be important, especially if progress continues and expectations rise. Stability breeds confidence, but stagnation breeds frustration, and the line between the two can be thin. Returning to the immediate challenge, everything still circles back to execution against familiar opponents. Rivalry games compress the margin even further. Missed tackles, blown assignments, and mental errors are punished instantly. Conversely, timely aggression can swing energy and belief faster than any speech ever could. That is why preparation and mindset matter as much as scheme. Players know what these games mean, not just to standings, but to pride. There is also an undercurrent of urgency that cannot be ignored. Veterans understand the business side of the league, and younger players understand that opportunities are never guaranteed. That combination can either fracture a locker room or sharpen it. The Bears appear to be leaning toward the latter, using uncertainty as fuel rather than distraction. That does not guarantee results, but it does create the kind of edge that keeps games close deep into the fourth quarter. Confidence, then, becomes a layered concept. It is not blind optimism, nor is it resignation. It is conditional belief rooted in specific improvements fans want to see translated onto the field. Faster starts, cleaner communication, physicality at the line of scrimmage, smarter situational decisions. These are not abstract ideas. They're tangible checkpoints that determine whether potential turns into production. As this part of the season unfolds, the Bears are not just playing opponents. They're playing expectations, timelines, and their own recent history. Each week offers another data point, another argument for or against certain paths. The noise around the team will only grow louder, but within that noise lies clarity for those willing to confront it head-on. How this group responds in moments like these will continue to shape the story that is still very much being written. As these storylines continue to overlap, the Bears find themselves at a crossroads that feels both familiar and different. Familiar because the questions are loud, the stakes are high, and the rivalry is unforgiving. Different because the foundation feels stronger, the talent younger, and the path clearer than it has been in years. What happens next will be written snap by snap, decision by decision, as this team pushes forward into the most revealing stretch of its season. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. What began as a stray comment from a rival has quickly snowballed into one of the most talked about rumors around the league, placing Caleb Williams at the center of a growing storm in Chicago. According to whispers circulating among league insiders, the young quarterback did not take lightly a remark that many around the NFL described as disrespectful and deliberately provocative. While the exact wording of the comment remains debated, the reaction it triggered was impossible to ignore. Sources close to the Bears suggest Williams responded in a far more forceful manner than expected, both privately and publicly. His body language, tone in interviews and interactions on the sidelines fueled speculation that frustration has been building behind the scenes. Some believe the rival's statement struck a nerve because it echoed doubts Williams has been trying to silence since arriving in Chicago. Questions about leadership, resilience, and whether he could be the face of a franchise desperate for stability. Inside the Bears organization, the moment is being described as delicate. There are murmurs of tension in the locker room, not necessarily directed at Williams, but the broader sense of uncertainty surrounding the team. Coaches and executives are said to be working overtime to keep the focus on football, even as national commentary frames the situation as a potential crisis. The concern is not one comment, but what it represents: a perception that opponents no longer fear the Bears and feel emboldened to take verbal shots. For Williams, the harsh reaction may be interpreted in two very different ways. Supporters argue it shows competitive fire and a refusal to be disrespected, traits often celebrated in elite quarterbacks. Critics, however, wonder if the pressure of expectations is starting to show and whether emotional responses could become a distraction in an already fragile environment. As speculation continues to swirl, one thing is clear: the Bears find themselves under an uncomfortable spotlight. A single comment has opened the door to bigger questions about identity, leadership, and direction. Whether this moment becomes a turning point or just another chapter in a turbulent period remains uncertain. But around the NFL, many are watching closely to see how Caleb Williams and Chicago respond to the noise. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.